Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be editing those photos that we took in the smoke photography session. I've loaded up some of the photos in Lightroom, and then I'll be editing those first, and then I'll jump over to Capture One and edit some of the selected photos that I've taken. So first, let's get started with Lightroom. If you're a Capture One user and you're not really interested, just jump to this timestamp here in the video and you will be in the Capture One's part of this video. So let's get started with Lightroom. So here are 4 of the pictures that I have selected, and we're going to be editing those. So let's start with this one first. The first thing I want to do is change the profile, and my camera has a black and white profile, so I'm going to choose that. Convert this into black and white. If I choose it, that would work. Convert this to black and white. Then I am going to take the white point and drag that by holding the Alt or Option key until I start to see some whites. There we go, and I'm just going to pull it right back. So you can see it already looks brighter. Now I'm going to add some more blacks. Background is already black, but we're going to darken it even more. So I'm going to keep dragging the black slider, and about here I'm going to stop. So it already creates a lot of contrast. If I hit the backslash key, you'll see the before and after. Adds a lot more contrast, and it's a lot more brighter. The other thing I'm going to do is pull up the highlights. Normally in photographs, outdoor photos or shoots, we want to pull down the highlights, recover it. This is a black and white shot. The whites need to be nice and bright, so I don't mind some of the highlights being blown in this case. So I'm going to brighten that up. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit more contrast to the image. Okay, now because we were side lighting this, the light was basically coming in from the left side and it was being flagged. Even though some of it was flagged, some light did fall on the background. So this side is not as black as it should be. So to do that, I'm going to use the gradient filter here, or graduated filter as it's called. Let's reset. So I'm going to explain what I do. I drag the exposure down a little bit. I pull the highlights up, I pull the whites up, and pull the blacks down a little bit. And I just drag that slider across, and you can see already it starts to look a lot darker. But by adding the highlights back and whites increase, whatever the flow of this mask is on top of the actual smoke doesn't get darkened. It still stays bright. So that's the idea. And if I want to get rid of some of this haze as well, I might just do one on this side. So the focus is basically this little smoke and the curls. And that's pretty much it. So that's done. Let's do another one very quickly. So I'll go a little bit faster on this one. Why doesn't that apply? Lightroom, tell me why doesn't that apply? Alt, drag, pull the whites, pull the blacks to the left, there. Okay, and I'm going to use my graduated. And now once you've used the graduated, it's going to have those settings anyway. So if I want to increase some of them, I can, but I have a good starting point from what I adjusted before. Close that, and that's done. Ooh, maybe not so much. Let's go back. I want to darken the exposure a bit more because I could see on the corner here it was still quite grayish. Close that. That looks a lot better. And to be consistent, I'm going to add one on this side as well. Just in case there's any kind of grays, it's going to darken it. And done. So what else you can do with these? Once you've taken these photos, and you can basically layer them up, edit them and layer them up in Lightroom. So, sorry, in Photoshop. Let me show you what I did. Actually edit in Photoshop. Edit original. Okay, so what I've done in Photoshop is basically loaded all those smoke images up as layers. So let's just hide those. So I've taken all those images up and basically loaded them up in as layers, and then just realigned them. rotate them and align them how you want the final results to be. I wanted more like a bouquet, so I've arranged them that way. And because they have black background, what you can use is the blending mode screen. When you use multiply, it'll just zero it out. So for black background, if you want to get rid of that, you've got to use screen as the blending mode. And then essentially I put a colored layer on top. So if I double click that, which has a gray layer, and I've applied a gradient, a green to yellow gradient, and I'm simply multiplying that. Set the angle you want and adjust those settings the way you like it, and you have something quite interesting. The Lightroom. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found that useful. Now we'll switch over to Capture One. Alright, so let me show you what I do in Capture One. Basically, I've loaded up all those photos, and I'm going to go through a selection of those. I've selected about 4 photos, and I'm going to show you through a couple how I edited it. Okay, so let's start with this one down the bottom, one of my favorite. I love this picture. I'm not sure about what it is about the shapes and little curls in this photo. It's just very appealing to me. So let's edit this. I'm going to reset the photo back. This is how it was when it was shot. It's got a little blue tint to it. I guess that's just the white balance. So first thing I'm going to do is, it's XD2, so no change there. And scroll down, and I like to use the film across setting here in the curve. So now it's purely black and white. I'm going to pull up the exposure a little bit to brighten this area. And I'm going to pull the brightness up as well to again brighten it. Then in the high dynamic range, I'm going to pull the blacks down to start to make it a lot more darker and contrasty. I'm going to pull the whites up a little bit more. Again, you want the white to stand out. And also the highlights. I'm going to pull the shadows down. Again, you see that it makes it more darker. The background is now a lot darker and black. So that's pretty much it. You could leave it here, but on the computer, I don't know how easy it is to see in the video, but this is not completely black. So I'm going to adjust some of those levels here. What I generally do is to brighten it. I'm going to pull the whites, push the whites in here, and I'm going to push the blacks as well. And you can see now it starts to look a lot more punchy. And I might just pull this up as well a little here and adjust that. Now you could stop there. That's pretty much all you need to do. If you're not happy with the color on either side, the black isn't appearing black, and that's where you can apply basically a new layer. So here I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to go to exposure, reduce the exposure a tad, keep the brightness up, go up here to the highlights, and pull the whites up and pull the blacks down. And then I'm going to use this graduated or gradient mask and just going to pull that across like so. And that should make that a lot darker. So I can see that it's already a lot more black. And here as well, I'm going to pull this across and just realign it. There we go. So that's how I edit those photos, and that's the final result. What you can also do is you can actually layer multiple photos. So take those photos and open them up in Photoshop. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so you can open them up as layers, and each layer you can apply a blending mode, which is screen, and then basically layer them up, align them how you want in the arrangement that you want. And then you have a final result like this. You can then eventually do some coloring on top of that. Here what I've done is basically it's a gray layer. So if I remove the effect, it's a gray layer which is in overlay mode. It's going to apply all the color on top of the other layers. So in the effect I've chosen is basically a gradient overlay, and you can choose what colors you want and how your gradient should be aligned. So I hope you found this video useful, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't checked out my smoke photography setup, check out last week's video. I'll put a link up here as well in the description as well. So If you're new to my channel, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thanks for continuing to support me and watching my videos. So I'll be doing these on a regular basis, these projects, to help the mind stay creative and have fun and use your camera gear. Alright guys, see you in the next video. Bye.